Hello, my name is Jitesh Bhaival.
Hello, I'm Sarah Hanatani.
It's Amrit Kina.
Anna Marksrock.
I'm Molly Carter. So today in this presentation we are going to be looking at cultural differences and how they influence businesses in every country. So the main points we're going to be covering are the cost for multinational businesses of doing business in each country, the likely future economic development of that country, and business practices. So the three countries we're going to be looking at is the UK, Japan and Saudi Arabia. Jitesh and myself are going to be starting off by looking at the UK. So first of all, the cost for multinational businesses of doing business in each country, we looked at Brexit because the UK are no longer a part of the free trade union, and so for businesses this means that to import and export goods it's going to become more expensive for themselves, and so multinational businesses that are located within the UK, their operating costs will increase. This also leads on with border issues because businesses dealing with or dependent upon cross-border transit may face additional hurdles.
So, staff and employee requirements may change because EU citizens that work for United Kingdom may face additional requirements for work, residence and travel. This can cause extra stress for businesses as they will need to keep up with relevant documentation.
So now I'm going to hand over to my colleague who's going to be talking about Japan.
Okay. There are three types of costs that make Japan a difficult country to operate business. Firstly, when doing business in Japan, the multinational companies spend high business costs such as market and research costs, which is related to the cultural differences. The manager has to spend their time and costs for market survey of Japan in order to understand the Japanese national character, their culture, the recent trends and local competitors in the market. Secondly, it is difficult to hire human resources in Japan. As most Japanese people cannot speak English fluently, human resources training costs will be required. Also, it will be hard to communicate with local consumers who cannot speak English. To overcome these obstacles, companies have to teach employees who are native speakers of English how to communicate with Japanese consumers. Thirdly, multinational companies will be required a high level of products or services. The reason is that Japanese consumers tend to check the detail and the quality of products carefully. Thus, the suppliers should take costs when they provide products or services to suit Japanese tastes. Now I'm going to hand over to my colleague who is speaking about Saudi Arabia.
We're kind of going to break it down into three sections. So we're going to speak about the economy as a whole, and then I'll hand it over to Ams, who she will be breaking it down into further points where it will make up the economy. So in terms of an oversight of Saudi Arabia's economy, they tend to get their revenue from oil exports, as it was found during the 1970s to the 80s. After that, they continue to do exporting in oil around the world, but they do other exports as well as rice, clothes, coffee, sugar, and that sort of thing. I mean, even animals like camels, horses, and sheep. So I'm going to hand it over to my colleague who will be speaking about the two other subjects or topics.
Okay, to build on what has said by Anna, we are going into the topics of the cost of salat and the cost of gender pay. So salat is basically a religious prayer. It takes up to an hour and there are 4 processes. During the 12 hours, the whole economy has to stop for each prayer. So around 10 to 45% is spent on this. The cost itself of a salat is 1.7 trillion per year, which has to be multiplied by the average percentage spent to pray, which is 30%, which is around 510 billion annually. The impact is on the consumer side, such as restaurants, as it is within the service sector, which has to be closed down. Even if Saudi Arabia excludes oil exports and focuses on the service sector, the country would still have a loss of salat, which is more than 120 billion annually. However, this isn't one restriction costing the economy. Gender pay is also costing 80 billion per year, which I will be talking about. So I will be further talking about the cost of gender gap. So the more labour an economy has, the more growth. So 21% is the current female labour, which is 8% lower than it was in the US in 1948. If countries were to reduce the gender gap, the economy could grow 20%, which is the GDP would grow by 415 billion. Of the region, Saudi makes up 20%. If they decrease the gap, it would increase 50 years ago by 110 billion. The country has many restrictions, makes it harder to hire women.
So for part B, we'll be looking at the future economic development of UK. So the Brexit vote happened 2 years ago. This has damaged the UK economy, which resulted in a weaker pound. So this means that UK households need to save more money due to uncertainty.
Leaving the EU without a deal would make matters much worse because it will push the UK into a moderate recession which will last between a year and 15 months. This means that the GDP will decrease by 1.2% in 2019 and 1.5% in 2020. After that, the economy will return to its normal growth.
So this will affect the economic development of UK as we will need to secure a deal with other nations. This will affect future relationships between the United Kingdom and other countries. Other countries will need to think twice before entering United Kingdom markets as we will be leaving Brexit on the 29th of March 2019. I'll be handing over to Sori.
So Japan, a large effect can be expected from Tokyo Olympic in 2020. It will lead to increasing the number of tourists, job creation, reconstruction of the infrastructure, and environment improving. With regards to politics, there is the Japan's foreign economic policy called Abenomics, which made by the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. He set 3 R's policies which made at overcoming deflation. First one is strong economic, which is aiming at the growth rate for GDP. Second, childcare support, which means increasing the birth rate more than 1.8%. Third one is social security to set turnover rates of care workers 0%. Moreover, technology developments in the service sector will lead to the economic growth, such as development of diagnostic instruments in the healthcare industry will grow rapidly as the demand has already existed.
So we will be talking about the development of Saudi in the future. So the first part is Saudi Arabia's future economic growth will come from its mega cities, a number of which are still under construction. A port and manufacturing city on the Red Sea that it is hoped will boost Saudi's trade relations with the rest of the world.
And then obviously we have Saudi Arabia will start to work on the kingdom that will work on Neom Bay. The area will have white beaches, mild climate and an attractive investment environment. As well as that, with the oil revenue again, that accounts for the necessary cushion to continue large fiscal expenditures, mostly on public sector wages and social services.
So for part C, we're going to be looking at business practices. So I'm going to start off with looking at the dress codes in the UK. In a place of work where it's quite formal, men wear dark coloured suits with shirts and women will wear dresses or blouses. Jeans and t-shirts are also allowed, but these are usually where you wear in informal place of work.
So first contact, the British are used to communicating through emails, face-to-face meetings and conference calls. It is better just to send an email directly to the person concerned by using a proper title and full name and using a formal tone. The British would like to get to know you and understand what it is in for them before setting up the meeting.
So now I'm going to look at greetings. So a handshake in the UK is the most common form of a greeting, and this is for both genders. They're brief but they're firm and they have a lot of meaning behind them. You maintaining direct eye contact during an introduction is well received. And when it comes to a handshake, women are usually the first to extend their arm. Also, if someone introduces themselves as Mr. or Mrs., you are required to use this before going back their first name.
So lastly, business cards. There is no specific protocol surrounding the exchange of business cards. Cards are usually exchanged during the first meeting and it is always best to treat the card with respect. I'll be handing over to Sori.
There are 2 examples of business practices in Japan. First, the recruitment system is distinctive. In Japan, most Japanese companies hire new graduates every year to develop human resources who can inherit the company's policy. Second, Japan has still a traditional cultural approach to business relations. Some of the Japanese corporations are strict hierarchical structures. Also, they have risk aversion and obsession for detail. From this reason, decision can be slow and have to be based on deep analysis and information. And I'm going to hand over to Saudi Arabia team.
Yeah. So in terms of the dress code, the Islamic law has a dress code that should be modest. It has to be smart fashion, so the body must be covered. In terms of clothing for the women, they should wear long skirts, sleeves at elbow length or longer, and neckline that are not revealing. In terms of the greeting and the titles, both the individuals need to stand at a reasonable distance, must handshake and give contact. So you must use your right hand, and if you use your left, it may seem as disrespectful. They must greet each other with appropriate titles such as doctor, chef, and more.
There is also a 5-day working week starting on Saturday. Normal working hours are 8 a.m. to 12 noon and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. When scheduling appointments, it's important to take into account the 5 daily prayer times as well as the Islamic religious holidays. Business cards can be exchanged, and gift giving is not known in this country as gifts are known to be personal.
So this is the last part of our discussion, and in this part we're going to be comparing and concluding our findings.
So in UK, we're going through Brexit, so that means that we're going to be uncertain of our future and what the career holds for us.
And like, a lot of people are going to not know what to do, like with their jobs or anything, because they don't know how Brexit is going to affect them. But like with you guys,
yeah, in our future development, we are going to be creating mega cities, which will boost economy and boost the income within the country and in Japan.
I think the future economic development in Japan it can be expected from Tokyo Olympics in 2020 because we can get more profit from them.
And even though we are uncertain about what our future holds, it has said that in 2020 it should start coming back up again, and our growth of the country will.
So we'll hopefully be back to normal.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah.
I think one of the issues with the United Kingdom is the fact that what you guys have is a lot of exportations from different countries.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
so whereas, for example, with Saudi Arabia, we have that constant income, which is the oil. So we produce the oil and we export it to different countries. Obviously, we get a fee from that. Whereas United Kingdom is more like what you harvest is little to even like last it for the country. So a lot of your food is exported, and I think it's going to be
and like because when we leave, we're not going to be part of that free trade union. So it like getting those goods in is going to become more expensive for us. So I don't know how that's going to work.
Like we have a steady income basically.
So because we as UK we depend on other countries to help us with food.
And businesses in the UK rely on other countries for like their resources, like raw materials. So, and I think if you look at like the business practices though, with the dress code, ours is quite not formal, but it is formal, but to an extent. Whereas in Saudi Arabia,
we're more strict, and
because we're allowed to wear whatever we want without feeling like embarrassed or judged.
Not whatever you want, but like it's sort of more relaxed compared to other places.
I think the issue with our country, it's the government, the politics, you know, everyday life is based on religion, and it's more strict. So, for example, with the Salah, we were talking about it earlier, is that this man, he ended up he didn't go to Salah, he didn't go pray, and obviously the police were going around. He went to prison because he didn't pray.
That's not fair.
So, like, in our country, it's quite
they rely heavily on prayer time.
Yeah, which does affect our income. Because if we had less like praying time and a little bit more like the UK or Japan in terms of, you know, their work, then they could probably be one of the richest countries.
Because you'll be utilising profits. If you weren't praying in that time.
So to conclude everything that's been said, we've looked at the 3 different countries. So we've looked at United Kingdom, we've looked at Japan, we've looked at Saudi Arabia, and we see that there are a lot of things that are similar in terms of, you know, what they do in terms of religion or how they run their businesses. And yeah, I believe that's it for everything today.
Thank you for listening.
Thank
Well
you.
done, everybody!